In 1970, finding itself without a friend in the world and surrounded by irate neighbors, the Israeli Defense Force decided to create a tank of its own. At number 4, Merkava, the DIY tank. From the mountains of the Golan Heights to the urbanized Gaza Strip, Israel faces a unique set of defensive demands.
The Merkava is a very successful vehicle because it does two things. It can fight in close urban combat, but it can also do the traditional job of a tank and fight in open country on the Golan Heights. The Merkava is a creature of Israel.
Usually when you design tank, you have to compromise between firepower, protection and maneuverability. In our case, protection, the survivability, is the most important thing.
Survivability is a big issue for a country with a population smaller than London's and a conscript army made up of both men and women.
My name's Eleanor Kushner. I'm a tank instructor here in the School of Armed Forces. I teach soldiers how to be drivers, actually. This is my favorite part of the tank, the power unit. The engine and the transmission together in the front of the tank. That's why the tank is called a Merkava, which means in Hebrew chariot. Just like horses were in the front of the chariot, they were the power unit of the chariot. So is the engine and the transmission a power unit of the tank. Now if a shell hits the tank, it would hit the power unit and not the people that work in the tank. The driver that sits over here is moved to the side. I don't want to sit in the middle, right in the front where a shell can hit me. I'd rather sit on the side. See perfectly well where I'm going without having shells hitting me. I have the whole desert for myself when I'm driving tanks. It's an amazing feeling. I mean, you can go so fast and it's just a monster. It's this powerful monster.
One of the things that makes the Merkava so unusual is that it's in a continuous state of evolution, reacting to the unique requirements of the Israeli army.
According to our experience, there are a lot of small innovations in order to make the tank and the suspension suitable for area like the Golan Heights, especially. The area is very rocky.
The unique spiral spring suspension on the Merkava has increased its efficiency by allowing the springs to separate completely from the running gear when it goes over a particularly big bump.
The arm of the road wheel is not connected to the spring. When it goes down, it disconnects, goes by gravity down.
The tank free falls back onto the suspension arm. This increased travel makes for a much more pleasant ride.
The tank was developed virtually in a combat situation. This is quite exceptional. All those lessons that are learned on the battlefield are streaming in while the thing's being designed.
The most vulnerable point in the tank is where the turret and the hull meet. So what these chains do is that if a shell hits them, they just change the whole course of the shell so that a shell won't hit in the most vulnerable point of the tank. Because a tank without a turret or a hull is not worth a lot much.
And with the engine at the front, there's space in the back for some friends.
It can carry a section of infantry in the back. That makes it unique amongst tanks, in that you've got an armoured personnel carrier and a tank rolled into one. Now, I don't know of another tank that's that versatile.
So why isn't everybody driving Mercs across the deserts and high streets of the world's trouble spots?
You've got to bear in mind it's designed for use in Israel, and you don't have to worry about the need for airlift capability. It is a big, heavy vehicle. Ideal for Israel, yes, but for an expeditionary force, too big, too heavy.
Some people would beg to differ.
This is the best tank in the world. Nothing will stop this tank from driving. If it wants to go on, it will go on. And if it finds a target, I don't want to be there in that target instead of you.
I won't argue with that.